Hi everyone! It's Jessica, the Sporty Stitcher, back for my November wrap-up and December chit-chat. I always seem to do it in the middle of the month, but that's fine. It seems to be when I find the time to do it or else get brave enough to do it. So I came up with a new idea to start my videos. Since I love trivia so much, and since the first two videos I said, I bet you guys don't know, I'm going to have a little random piece of fact. So I bet you guys did not know that the very first Christmas carol was in 600 AD, and the title of it was in Latin, which I can't understand. But the translation term is Jesus Illuminates All. So there's your trivia fact for the day. I hope it's not going to be too distracting with the holiday season. I thought it'd be neat to switch it up and go. I'm now in my living room. So I got my tree up, and then I got my Yule log on the television. And I thought it was kind of a neat ambiance with the Christmas music. So if it's too loud, oh well. And if you can't hear it, oh well. I had a good November. It was busy with not a lot of stitching. I had my birthday in November. And I'll get to that a bit because we went Black Friday shopping. But we didn't go the normal Black Friday shopping. We went to 2 LNSs. And then we had a couple work trips. The first one we were... For two of them, well, the first one was sort of a work trip and sort of like a birthday / Christmas gift. Every year, senior at our senior center gives us an anonymous gift, but we always figured out who it was. So this year she took us to the Fireside, which is a dinner theater here in Wisconsin, and we saw Miracle on 34th Street. It was fascinating for me because I've never seen Miracle on 34th Street, the movie. And then we took everyone to White Christmas, which was a high school production. And it was fascinating for me again because I still haven't seen that movie. I have so many notes here, now I gotta read them. Last month I was not prepared, and this month I'm over-prepared. One interesting stitching related somewhat trip that I took this month. I didn't think it was going to be stitching related, but it ended up being it. We went to the Tallman House in Janesville to see their Christmas tree display. And they were supposed to have the 12 days of Christmas up throughout the house. The trees weren't decorated with the 12 days of Christmas. We thought it was just a tour to see all the decorations. It turns out it was a tour with a tour guide to bore you to death with the house, but it was still a good trip. But the interesting thing in there was there was 2 samplers, and I will insert a picture of them now. The first one, let me get my other notes here. The first one, it was the history of the house. I have to be honest, I wasn't really paying attention to the tour guide because he was getting kind of boring. But he was explaining that the Tallmans had a daughter and they also had a niece that lived with them. So as you can see, both of those samplers have the last name Doe. So I don't know if they had picked that last name so they would both have the same last name, or if they're not even from the house originally. But I have to laugh at the 2 different styles of it. Even back then there were perfectionists like Hannah, who had it fancy and fully finished and had different types of stitching. And then you had Marietta's that was unfinished, rushed, and was full of mistakes, and she even had to frog half of it. So that was kind of a neat surprise. I tried to talk to the tour guide about it, but I actually stumped him more than I actually got any answers. So he told me to come back in the summer when to come and talk with him again, but I don't know if I will, if I'm that interested. But also stitching related wise, the Tallman House also, I would like to point out, the Tallman House also is featured in a cross-stitching pattern by a Wisconsin designer from Milwaukee called Chessie and Me. And I'll insert a picture of what it looks like now. It's not my style, but I know it's a lot of your guys' style. So if you want to stitch some local Wisconsin history, you can stitch the Tallman House. And I guess for other life updates, I'm getting kind of wimpy on geocaching. I guess it's getting too cold. That and I'm getting too annoyed with the cockleburs this time of year. So I haven't gone recently. But one funny thing is there's something in geocaching called a travel bug, where it's something you can travel around from geocache to geocache. And I picked it up in Minnesota on my way home, and I was researching it to see what people have had it. It started out in Seattle. It has gone to Florida. It has gone to the East Coast, like New York. And then it went to South Beloit, Illinois, which is 10 miles away from me. It went to Kentucky, and then it went up to Minnesota, and now it's back to Clinton, Wisconsin. So I think that's funny. So I have a plan on when I drop it. I'm going to drop it right back off in South Beloit and see if they go and find it. But enough chit-chat, especially about geocaching or other things. Let's talk about stitching. I promised in one of my first videos that if I was still doing videos at Christmas time, I would show you my Christmas ornaments that I have done for the fair. And I just got to find where I put them. Again, I'm sitting on the floor, so fat lady on the floor might get kind of weird. You'd think I've had them all in one pile. So I first started doing fair ornaments in 2013. And 2013 was my very first time actually finishing. So they look a little rough, and I also got second on them, mainly because my first time finishing. But they are, well, they're coming up pretty good. They are a nativity scene in stained glass. Oh, you can even see the sparkle of Kryndak. I'll have to sit on the floor more often. There is Mary and Joseph going on their donkey. We have Mary, Joseph, and the baby with the dove. And I added blending filament into Jesus and around with the dove. And the final one is the three wise men. So these are from a British cross-stitching magazine. I didn't take the time to look them up and put them down there. So if I'm motivated, I'll put it down here while I'm talking about them. I ended up getting second on these, and like I said, it was my very first time ever finishing, and they were all fine, but a few spots when I was on the sewing machine, the lines weren't completely straight. But those are 2013s. 2014s are an embarrassment. They are one of my favorites, but I will carefully show them to you and then give you a warning. So they were all Johnelliotts, and they were from a British cross-stitching magazine again. And they're all different farm animals doing something Christmas related. So we have a little sheep knitting a sock. Have a cute pig hanging up a wreath in his pajamas. And a cow stringing lights. Now, I'm not showing you the hanger because I am the type of person, kind of like Marietta. If I want to get it done, I'm going to get it done. So I didn't have anything to do the hanger in my stash at home. All I had to do was go into work and go through the work craft box and get some green ribbon. So it was a midnight finish before the day that I had to turn them in for the fair. So, bright idea me, I just took plain quilt binding and used that. So I got second on these. And the most embarrassing thing is the judge opened it up in front of everybody and said, well, she just used quilt binding. And then she sits there and stares at it for a while and she goes, well, if she just went through a normal zigzag stitch through it, it would have looked fine and it would have placed higher. See, I'm lazy. So these are these three. Johnelliott Farm Animals from another British cross-stitching magazine. So 2015 was the best year I ever showed. And you'll see why in a minute. They are the Johnelliott, again, Victorian motifs. And I got these, I actually have the magazine written down. I got it from a collection called 365 Cross-Stitch Designs. So we have a Victorian lady, a Santa, and a Merry Christmas. And this was my first year ever making binding, or making cording, and finishing in a flat fold. And I did end up getting first on these, mainly because I was done with these in June. The other ones I finished the night before. Do you sense a pattern there? Maybe I should get things done in June. So there these are again. I lost the grand champion for that division out with a tatted doily. And I used this Victorian motif design a lot, and you'll see in a bit. In 2016, I had gotten too proud of myself. And if you remember in a lot of beginning videos, I always complained that I was beat out by a Hirschner's pushpin ornament. Well, putting these ornaments away for a year, I can now see why I was beat out by a Hirschner's pushpin ornament. The finishing is not that great, but they're still nice. I do remember I got them from a British card magazine, so I just did it on a smaller count fabric to make it into an ornament. But they are different designs, like this. And the reason I say my finishing isn't that good is I did not make the cording very thick, so it hides into the flat fold ornament. So again, the judge could tell it's rushed. Imagine that. The judge could judge it. So there's Noel with a star. I know I changed this one up because it was like a pink, but purple is supposed to be for Jesus and stuff, so I changed that to purple. Then we also have Joy and Sparkle. So they kind of have some black work in them. Very nice. Oh, where did I put it? And then, of course, as you all remember, this year, 2017, were the stockings from Doreen Jones. And that was my worst year. I got third, mainly because I didn't finish the inside. These three went to the fair this year, and this guy didn't because he had issues with the points. So there are all my ornaments. So now on to whips. Most of November I spent embroidering a tablecloth for work because my evil boss thought it was a great idea to have it embroidered before Thanksgiving. Oh wait, I'm my own boss, so it was my stupid idea. I didn't get it finished, and I also didn't bring it home, so I'll insert a picture of what it currently looks like here. As you can see, some of it's partially stitched and some of it isn't. We started that tablecloth in 2013, and every year we have asked a different question, and they all have to answer the question and put the year. And some results are fun because we have one gentleman that every year, no matter what the question is, he'll write down a Thanksgiving food. And an interesting thing that, and sad, is you can see the decline in some people, which is sad, but at a senior center you gotta expect that. So I did do some work on my bell pull. The main thing I worked on this month was the trunk. And I do have a counting boo-boo, so I have to rip out that. I thought I was going to be able to do it by just counting because each of these stripes repeats. And again, you think I'd be prepared. And the exciting thing is the trunk is the very last thing in part 1. So once I finish the trunk, it will now be on to part 2, which will be exciting. So there are 9 steps, or 9 different stripes. There, I'll put it there while I talk. There is a slanted goblin stitch with 2 strands of thread, a square road stitch, which is this big one here. Oh, nice nails, isn't it? Woo! Another slanted goblin stitch going the other way, a cross stitch with 2 threads, a slanted goblin with only 1 strand, a Romanian couching stitch, which is a very interesting stitch. Oh, right here. It's just a line across and 1 little blip up. Again, I don't care about the patterns. You're not going to be able to steal anything. But see, it's just 1 little line across, and then you carry this over and then tuck it under the stitch. So that's kind of neat. And it finishes up with, oh, another slanted goblin. But the one thing that I am amazed at from Sue Lentz, who I'm in love with, even though it's kind of creepy, but she's a good designer, is the blue in this overdyed, which is McCalvary Manor, or McAlvary Manor. The blue right in there matches the blue anchor perfectly. So obviously she knows what she's doing. I did do a little bit of progress on my table runner. By a little bit, I did 4 letters. So now I have 3 words completed, and on earth. I imagine I'll be working a lot on this a lot in December because it's Christmas time. Again, not a lot of stitching this month. Did a lot of finishing this month and finishing or stitching for other things, but and I'm not a big fan of stitch-alongs. I like the idea of them, but I haven't found anything that has caught my eye, and mainly like my ornaments, I don't keep interested a lot. So I have recently I've started the Tiny Christmas Stitch-Along, which is also an Advent Stitch-Along. And it's by Armanda Designs. So every day a little piece has been released. I haven't done today's yet. But the first day was the tree, and then the Merry Christmas, the poinsettias, the presents, the carolers were in 2 parts. the snowflake and the trees, and today it's a church, but I haven't done it yet. I've been doing a lot of stitching on small stuff. I know it's kind of strange to see this big clunky stuff for me, but I had been doing a lot of 1/1 stuff for gifts and card stuff, so I was getting kind of tired of 1/1. So I'm doing it on 22 count Ada. So according to Yarn Tree Calculator, which sometimes is accurate and sometimes isn't, it should equal out to be 5.5. And my new whip, which is also somewhat of my haul, I put in the first couple stitches in my lifelong lesson of the alphabet, which is the Rosewood Manor. Oh, multiple piles don't work. The Rosewood Manor ABC Tapestry. And that is all that I've done so far. I've done the top of the first page, which is with these stitches, and then I've added the first 2 of the second motif. And this is on 32 count lamb's wool Lagana, I believe. And the floss color I am using will probably not show up because it always looks muddy and gross, but it's Ruby by Chevron Creations Wildflower. And of course, since I'm working on something that reminds me of Minnesota, I gotta represent and have a Packer needle minder. And speaking of needle minders, I made a few recently with all the different Goodwill pin finds. Oh, where is it in the mess? I'm not going to be able to find it. Shoot. Well, anyway, it's a cat. It's a cat that matches this cat, but it is a bigger cat with brighter sunglasses on it. I'll find it as soon as I'm done. Of course, I'll have to put things away. Oh, right, I give up. So I've had quite a few FFOs this month. It's been easy because I've been getting into the different groups on Facebook. The first one is the Adele's ATC group. I hope you're feeling better, Adele. I saw the news today that you weren't feeling good. So I hope you feel better. So I'm in her ATC and card group. So, of course, I finished up November's, which was food. So mine were a whole bunch of candy-related patterns from a recent issue of the World of Cross Stitching magazine. And to tell you the truth, I overstuffed the package. I put a lot of different neat candies in it, and in the future, just to warn everybody, I'm not going to be giving everybody as much because shipping was over $30 just of candy and a little pair of scissors. But I received mine. Oh, sure, now I find the needle minder. Okay, we'll back up a little bit. Here is my new needle minder. These cute little pink sunglasses, or glasses. I couldn't resist, I had to show you. But I received my November food themed card this month from Stacy. And there's a little cornucopia. Very nice. And she also sent me 2 things of floss, 211 of DMC, and a Mo sale of leaf pile. So thank you. My stitch, I also, oh, getting ahead of myself. The stitching is done already for the November swap, but I don't have it completely finished. So if you do not want, if you're a part of that group and you don't want an advanced peek of it, don't look. Focus on your stitching right now. But it is, I'll get paper for this because I can see through that fabric pretty good. A little pair of ice skaters. Take off the cat hair. It is, the pattern is from Maria Diaz, and it is a little, the pattern section is called Merry Memories. So they got a girl hanging up a wreath, they're building a snowman, the ice skating one that I did, and then hanging up some mistletoe. Probably to get the little boy down here, maybe, huh? I just did this on a raw linen. I started this on Thanksgiving. It was a quick little stitch, and it's so cute that I think I'm going to do it some more and put them up, make them in flat folds for up in January. And then I also made the person it is going to a snowflake needle minder. Oh, I wish it was a sunflower. Looks nice in the Christmas lights, doesn't it? I also have joined a Secret Santa group. Oh. Shoot. It fell out of the envelope. Well, at least I'm organized with my notes. May not be organized with the stuff I'm showing, but it's identical to this one. It's the exact same thing, I just used different backing fabric. So the Johnelliott Victorian motif, Merry Christmas. And also, mainly because there was nobody in the State Line Stitchers that did the ornament exchange, she's also going to get this one that I stitch up for the ornament exchange. So the real one I made her, or him, because you don't know who it is somewhere here on the floor. It just fell out of the envelope that I'm going to package it in. But the backing fabric is a little gingham. So this was the 1/1 stitching that I was doing to get tired of. So now on to haul. Like I said, my birthday is on the 25th, so I never put Christmas decorations up until after my birthday. My aunt is the same way, but hers is in the beginning of December. So my I had a trip planned for my birthday, actual birthday. So I celebrated a little bit on Friday by my mom and I went to 2 local needlework shops in the local area, which I'll get to in a bit. And Sunday, our tradition is we go out for all-you-can-eat crab legs 2 times a year. Once on my birthday and once on her birthday. So we went down and had our crab legs on Sunday. So on Friday, we went to 2 of them. And I took a lot of pictures. So I'm going to be adding the pictures and some notes of the various different shops at the end. So I'll add a couple minutes onto the end. But the first one is Black Cat Stitchery, and that is in Winthrop Harbor, Illinois. It is just south of the border, which is very accurate. When you're driving there, your GPS tells you, welcome to Wisconsin, welcome to Illinois, welcome to Wisconsin, welcome to Illinois. So it's crisscrossing back and forth. It's a small shop, but it's a very nice shop. It has a lot of different stitching days. They have Wednesday, which is during the day, and Thursday, which is at night. And they are now going to be starting a new one that I'll be planning on joining, and it is the first and third Saturday of the month, but the main day will be the first Saturday of the month. And it was interesting when I was looking at their Facebook page, a lot of the ladies or people that entered in the Walworth County Fair actually stitch at that store. So it'd be interesting to go and meet them actually, and then just seeing their work. The only thing I got at that store was the fabric for my AABC tapestry. That was big enough. And I got a story about that. I have decided that I will be joining Stitch from Stash in 2018 because I've got an addiction of kitting up projects and not starting them, like everybody. But the most painful one was this fabric here. Like I say, I go to that Salvation Army flash sale every year. And usually every year I pick up fabric. Now, as I was explaining to some people at our stitching meetup, there are some things that are donated, and then I think there are some things that the Salvation Army Auxiliary goes and buys. And the one thing that they go and buy are quilting fabric, and they also buy cross-stitching fabric by the yard. I had a whole yard of white linen at home, but yet I forgot all about it, didn't look in my stash, and went and got a $45 piece of fabric. You want to know the most painful thing about that story? That yard of fabric was $1. Oh. So I will now be officially joining Stitch from Stash, except for April and November and the Salvation Army craft sale. So that was an interesting store. You'll see it in a bit at the end. But the next stop is my favorite stop. It was Welcome Stitchery in Crystal Lake. I love this store. As you can see in the pictures, it's a small space and controlled chaos, but it has great selection. They even have some of my Desson's DHC patterns and just a lot of stuff. Excuse me. So the four things that I got there, the first one is they have this pattern kitted up or finished on the wall in their various different, they have various different rooms like you'll see in a bit, but one of the rooms is a Halloween room. And they have two of these framed on the wall, and it's one of those projects that you go and see every time and go, oh, that's so pretty, I want to do that. And especially this one, it's such a simple stitch, you might as well buy it and do it. So finally they had it in stock, because a lot of the patterns are sold a lot. So it is a very simple pattern. It is called Long Spider by Anna Lee Waite Designs. Now they have both of them up there, hanging with the model like this one, which is black fabric and a white spider. But they also in their store have a orange fabric and a black spider. So I was hemming and hawing, which one do I get? Do I get the black fabric? Do I get the orange fabric? Do I get the black fabric? Do I get the orange fabric? So I settled on the black fabric. Then I got in the car and wished I had the orange fabric. So it's an easy thing. So if I want to go back and get the orange fabric, I can hang up both and put them in my house. It's like an hour stitching with this. It's just mainly one line and Happy Halloween and a spider. So I ended up getting the 28 count black Jobelin. It's a nice long and thin piece, especially how it'll be perfect for that little spider. Another piece of fabric I also picked up was a 32 count Belfast in navy. It's blue. And I did that one, got that one for the Bent Creek that I got up in Minnesota. The snowman, some assembly required. I was going to get Petite Treasure Braid for the different things, but I don't know if I really want to do Petite Treasure Braid for 20 stitches. Buy expensive floss for 20 stitches. And one final one that I did get. I have been eyeing this pattern ever since it was released many years ago, but never could find it because it was never in stock, and just hemming and hawing if I really wanted to do it. But it is the Winter Stag from Mill Hill. I think he's just beautiful with the different swirlings of snow. So he'll look nice if I ever finish him up. And the final piece of haul that I got was at Joann's recently. I know probably some people have shown this, but it is Annie's Cross Stitch Christmas Decoration Creations. And everything in this book is done on perforated paper, which is interesting. But the main thing I got this book for was the nativity scene candle holders. Thought that was pretty. So I'll do a quick flip through, because why not? Have a advent calendar with stockings. When I first saw them, I thought they were hot cocoa cups. So I think that'd kind of be neat if you finish them. Actually, they do finish them with felt, but if you actually do them with fabric and make them into a stocking, but you gotta line it, it would look nice. Then there's these 3 cards. A little penguin, a snowman, and a reindeer. Those are cute. Called Festive Friends. Then there's these Chevron Trees. Be a simple stitch. These would be neat. Falling Snowflakes. At first, when I saw these on the outside of the book, I thought they were some of the Johnelliott Santas, kind of like this one. But they're by Vermilion Stitchery. But they are these Santas. Very nice. He looks kind of like a grumpy Santa. He must have had a kid sitting on him too long or something. Like I said, this was the main reason I got the book, was the candle holders. And those are by Shannon Pope. And this one's pretty, but it's different of why it was done on perforated paper if it was just going to be framed, but to each their own. It's a Merry Christmas with some different tree boughs and ornaments. And then an interesting angel tree topper. And then a frame. Mainly you just repeatedly stitch the chevron, which could get annoying. But if you're dedicated, there's a pattern for it. And then some different little ornaments called Elegant Ornament Trio. And then a small ornament set. Christmas Motifs Explosion. Oh my. And then a holiday card duo, which is kind of hard to see. Maybe it was to fill just the pages, but there's poinsettia and then the partridge. But nothing else, just the partridge. And then a peppermint cottage that you build. That could be neat. So a lot of those patterns can easily be made in with fabric, other than just perforated paper, which is hard to stitch on. Well, that is all I have to share with you in this mid-December. I will obviously be, like everybody, I'll be filming again in January. And I plan on doing the wrap-up that everyone did last year. Tag. Do that again, unless somebody else comes up with a tag. But it seemed pretty simple, so it'll be a nice recap of the year. So, since I probably won't see you again until after Christmas, everyone have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah, and see you later. Bye. Hi, it's me again. I just wanted to show you, even though it didn't show up on camera, that I'm wearing my ugly Christmas cross-stitch sweater. So if you remember the old 90s thing with the different puff paints, this was what I was wearing. It didn't show up on camera, but I wanted to show you the cross-stitching related item that I was wearing. Now here will be the pictures of the different cross-stitching stores.